IBP Web Reporting, the basics. First, a quick level set on IBP. IBP stands for Integrated Business Planning. SAP's next generation supply chain planning tool. It consists of several modules. We have demand planning, which will start with a sales order history and generate a consensus demand. Then we have the inventory optimization, which will calculate a safety stock and the planned inventory levels. Finally, taking that demand and coming up with a supply plan to actually manufacture those goods. And then on top of it all, we have the sales and operation planning process that brings all three together. IBP consists of several attributes. There are probably 300 plus attributes. Here's just a sample of them. This is just a way of rolling up data by a certain level. IBP consists of several key figures. Again, I think we're at 750 plus key figures. Here's some of the common ones. They range from both demand to supply to inventory. IBP also consists of several processes. So we have budgeting process, consensus demand, planned inventory levels, statistical forecasting, vendor forecast, etc. IBP consists of two manual methods to input data. The first is an Excel add-in. The second is through a web browser. The Excel add-in is a fully functional Excel with basically an add-in or a little program on top of your screen that is specific to IBP, allows you to save different planning views, bring up your planning views, run simulations, look at your master data, run certain application jobs, etc. The browser is a slimmed down, minimalist way of just inputting data, less functionality than the Excel add-in, but a lot easier to maintain and to use and to deploy. So we like to think of the Excel add-in as for the full-time IBP user. It's fully functional, but requires a bit of setup and training. Whereas the web browser is great for a user who just needs to update a few key figures every now and then. So why would you choose the web browser? Here are some pros and cons. Pros, it's quick to set up, train, and use. I can probably make a planning view in about 60 seconds and send it out to a bunch of users. It's easy to change and support. I'll show you that in a second in the demo. You can input the data at a level that makes sense, and then it will automatically disaggregate it down. You can lock down with security if you need to. Data is automatically aligned, so that means that if you enter data at a brand level, it's going to disaggregate correctly down to at the product level. And if you change those attributes in the future, like a strategic customer, then it will automatically realign. And you can also import from another system later. So the key figure still exists, but as far as populating, if you decide you want to automatically populate it from another system, you can do that as well at a later date. The cons for the web browser is that there is less functionality than the Excel add-in, and it could need new security roles depending on how well or how much you want to lock down usage. Use cases for using the browser to input data manually. The one we're using now is for the consensus demand from non-live IBP demand planners. So for example, you may have a demand planner sitting in Japan that needs to put in a demand for the US, but they're not live on IBP yet. And so instead of sending an Excel spreadsheet and then having someone manually type it in, you just give the web browser directly to that Japanese demand planner. Same story with the sales forecast from sales managers. You can input that directly. And then also component capacity from external vendors. So how much can this external vendor make this month or year? So here's a quick demo. A user navigates to IBP via their browser. Single sign-on would automatically sign them in if they were an internal customer or user. The user gets a shortcut to jump to the planning view, or they can navigate to a list of planning views that have been assigned to them. In this case, I'm just showing one tile, but there could have been many tiles on the sheet. We're just trying to keep it simple. We're going to click on that browser and get this. So this planning view is by brand and sub-brand, but any attribute that the user has security access to is available to them. This planning view has the key figures, statistical forecast quantity, collab override quantity, and consensus demand plan quantity. But again, any key figure that the user has access to is available to use. The data is displayed in months, but it can be in weeks, quarters, or years as well. Here we have edited this key figure. The others are not directly editable by the user and are therefore for informational purposes. Since this is not yet saved, it's still highlighted in blue. Once we hit save, which was off screen, it was over to the right a little bit. The other key figures are recalculated. In this example, the collab override changed the consensus demand plan quantity. Be aware that even though you are viewing this data at the brand and sub-brand level, it is stored at the very granular product, location, customer, ship to level, which means no more reconciling between, say, a product group down to the product. It's done automatically when you hit save. You can also see here that this planning view has been assigned to 2 specific user groups. So as people change roles, there's no additional maintenance. We're going to click here on that edit planning view and show you how you can quickly change the planning view if you have access to do so. This section allows you to change pretty much everything about the planning view. Which version of the data you wish to use. Which time period and type of bucket, for example, weeks or months. Which attributes you can use and what order. Which key figures you can use and what order. If you page down, you can also change what unit of measure to use. Whether you want to see or change the planning notes. These are notes that users can enter explaining the reason for their change. Very important, changing the ability to change the planning filter on the data. And finally, who you want to share this planning view with. Best practice is to share it with user groups and not users typically. And one more note, this data is real time. So once a change is saved, it's available to the other users instantly. In summary, this is a very quick and robust way to enter data into IBP manually, as well as flexible. If a new system or process comes along that has this data, then we can just interface the data directly. That's it for this demo. Thanks for watching Practical IBP. As usual, like, subscribe, and watch future videos.